Okay, it's been a hot minute since I made my last video, about 4 years. However, it has been 6 years, almost 6 years since I joined the Air Force, since I enlisted in the Air Force. And today I would like to talk to you about how I commissioned from being an enlisted airman into being an officer in the Air Force Reserve. The program that I commissioned through is exclusive to enlisted members of the Air Force Reserve, called the Deserving Airman Board. And what the Deserving Airman Board is a base-wide program where squadrons fill their available officer slots um, with enlisted members rather than getting people fresh out of college and fresh off the streets. Um, this is their program. And just to give you a quick background, I enlisted in 2019. I was an intelligence analyst. It was a great job. I really miss it. Now I am a logistics readiness officer. So I just commissioned earlier this year, February 2024. And so far, it's pretty fun. I'm about to celebrate my first anniversary of being an officer in 2 months or so. How time flies, right? But anyways, on to the main topic, which is how you can uh, commission to officer as an airman in the United States Air Force Reserve. So, what's the process with the Deserving Airman Board? Okay. There's the admin things you need to do, the paperwork, college transcripts. You need to have at least a bachelor's degree, your last 2 or 3 enlisted performance briefs. What a lot of people like to ask about is the AFOQT, which is um, the test you need to take in order to become an officer. The test itself is unique, in which not only do you have like verbal and like mathematical sections of it, you also have like um, like other sections which are kind of like an IQ test. There's like a section where you have to read like aircraft instruments and things like that. I highly recommend you to buy like a test book, like a practice book, Barron's or whatever, and give some good time if you feel like you're not properly prepared for it. Um, Personally, I only studied like 2 weeks, uh, and I did well enough, but um, I would have to say that is not the biggest consideration uh, when you want to commission. I would say it's a solid like 20 to 25% of the consideration, maybe. All right. The next consideration you would have is your letter of intent. Um, I would I think that's also pretty important just to see, um, I guess, your level of maturity, the reason, your why for commissioning. And I think that's very important because um, I don't know, like it's a selective process, and if you don't have the right reasons, or if you don't have you don't if the person reading your letter does not have like doesn't sense that you're ready to be an officer, then that's it wouldn't reflect well on your application. Another one is letter of recommendation. So given that you have a few years in the Air Force already, it's highly recommended to get maybe your flight commander, or maybe even I think you do need a squadron commander recommendation in order to apply to this board. So it's very important to build a relationship within your squadron, within your flight, and work with your officers, with your supervisors, so that they can really get to know you, so that when it comes time to recommend you, uh, it's not hard to do so, right? They have a very easy time selling you. And last but not least, I would say was the biggest hurdle. Not the biggest hurdle, but it was unexpectedly challenging, was the board interview. Okay, so there's an interview for the Deserving Airman Board, and what it is it's a formal military board. So you're dressed in your Air Force blues, and you walk into the room doing your facing movements and saluting and everything like that. There are at least 5 officers sitting side by side at a table, and you're sitting in a chair across from them. All right. Um, I was very nervous for it. I was very nervous, but I kept my composure. Um, and at the time, I was still a senior airman, not yet a staff sergeant. And I had prepared for the board. I had, I guess, thought up of some interview questions and things like that. Um, However, when I actually went to the board, none of the questions I prepared were actually asked. So, yeah, I would say it's kind of hard to prepare for it because they can really ask you any questions. They can throw curveballs, and keep in mind that it's a formal board, so it's not just like depending on, I guess, depending on your base, it's not just like a. It won't feel like a casual talk. This is a formal board, so there will be yes sirs, no sirs, and your answers should be straight to the point and succinct and not rambling on and on. What the officers are looking uh, in you is not necessarily what you answer, but how you answer it, right? So sometimes, when you lack experience or um, you don't know how to answer something, and these are situations that can happen as an officer. So even when you don't know, even when you don't have that experience, you need to give the impression that you have the right attitude and you know how to negotiate through these circumstances by having confidence and by, um, I guess, saying the right things to help you get through. Through the situation in a way that um, fosters confidence in your ability to lead. All right. So that was the biggest part that I felt was the board interview. For some people, the AFLQT can be a bigger challenge, but I happen to be, uh, I guess, a decent test taker, so I did all right on it. Um, so how competitive is it? What are your chances of commissioning through this board? So I like to say, if you are trying to commission through like a recruiter, right, off the street, for example, or through an officer recruiter as an enlisted person, you are competing with many other people that are trying to get recruited as an officer through this one recruiter, right? Or maybe more. Through the Deserving Airman Board, your competition is other enlisted people uh, on your base that happen to apply the same year that you're applying. All right. So if like only 2 people apply, then your competition is 1 person that year. And I forgot to mention that the Deserving Airman Board happens uh, once a year, and sometimes it skips a year, or maybe even 2. But I think so. As far as I know, it happens every annually, or every 2 years. All right, um, and the competition also depends on the number of available officer slots. So if there's only 1 slot open and you have 2 candidates, you have 2 people fighting for 1 slot, right? But if you have like 2 candidates but 5 slots open, right, and you're both qualified, then it's likely that you'll both be selected as officer. So it really depends on availability, and also how many people are uh, applying that year. All right. So I think that covers the gist of what it takes to commission as an officer in the Air Force Reserve through the Deserving Airman Board. That was my experience. Um, I'm happy to share more about my experience through OTS in other videos, but I hope this video is able to help you in your consideration of commissioning as an enlisted person in the reserve. And if you decide to do it, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to give some advice on how to commission. And I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.